Welcome back. Today we're playing a little bit with a cheaper again. We got a clunking wheel bearing. This bearing has about 50,000 miles and I'm really disappointed. It's actually a new camera with an external mic, but at the moment I have no plug. I got a wireless set, but I need to change the plug because it's the wrong one. So let's get the wheel off and see what we can do. I got another problem with the brake caliper, the pins. There's some rubbers and these are worn out, so we need to take them off as well. So changing the wheel bearing is pretty simple. You take the cotter pin out, take the castle nut off, then take the brake off, everything, and then just also later there's 3 bolts. You can take the whole bearing assembly out. They're disposable parts, you can't change the bearing, you're going to have to buy the whole assembly, at least from what I know. I'm a bit disappointed, it's an aftermarket part and it's only got 50,000 miles or so. Yeah, you expect a little bit more. Anyway, let's take that nut off. I recently checked if it's tight, but it's actually tight, so the problem is actually the bearing. Just get the cotter pin out. Always replace them with new ones. There is a spring washer underneath. Don't forget that. And then find someone who steps on the brake and get the nut loose. So we got a nut out. You need to take the 2 bolts out. It's a 13mm socket, and then we'll show how to get the bearing out. Let's take the rubber out and we'll come back. So we got a caliper off, and then just pull the brake disc. There's no nut or bolt. On some cars there is an extra screw just to hold it in place, but the Jeep doesn't have that. So I'll grab the camera for a second. So what we have here is we got these 3 screws coming from the other side, and they need a 12 groove socket, and then you're gonna clean them before you take it out, otherwise they are pretty tight. And that's why you need a 12 groove socket. It just fits perfectly. These are already new. If you take them off the first time, you may most likely find that this is all corroded. They are not cheap. I think they are £5–6, $8 from the dealership, and you can't get them anywhere. It's a special screw for Jeep or for Chrysler. Some of them need a bit convincing to get them out. I need to get in front of that, so just push them until they move. When I put them back in, I greased them a little bit with copper grease. It helps a lot. And before you pull the bearing out, stick a screwdriver through the U-joint so the drive shaft stays in. Otherwise you pull the drive shaft out and my seals are pretty gone anyway, so I don't want to batter them anymore. And as you can see, if everything is greased up a little bit, they move very easy. I even grease the heads so they don't rust. They do over time, but alright. So let's find a screwdriver, stuck it in the drive shaft, and then we just pry it out. So yeah, just stick a screwdriver through the U-joint so it can't come out, and then just give it a whack with a hammer. Here you go. That was easy. Again, it was out before, and that's what life makes. That makes life a lot easier. And yeah, remember the position of that. It's going to be this way. There was a lot of water, and there's a lot of there's a washer in the front. Don't forget that when you put it back. Here you can still see copper grease, but the bearing has lost its grease. You can see it. It's all out. So I would say shit quality, perhaps. And you can see there still is copper grease there. That's the reason why it came out so easy. Just normally they rusted in. These are not. But yeah, this is toast here. You want to clean the surface before you put the new one in. Let me do that. I'll be back. So here we have the new one. That's certainly not blue. Anyway, I strongly recommend to check dimensions, because there are two different types out there. 21. The most important one is actually the overall distance here from the flange to the wheel flange, which is about 54.2. Check that out. It's about 54.2 millimeters from the wheel, or from the brake disc flange to the back of that one. And because they do different ones, but this looks good. And the next one is, there are different types, where there's another type where this boss is a lot longer. They don't fit here. I think the drive shafts will be longer, and the rear might be different as well. I don't know, but this seems to be alright. Looks good to me. So let's grease that up and put it back. Here we have it. It's an aftermarket part. I think it was 40 pounds, $50 or so. We'll see how long this one lasts. When you do that, make sure you clean your splines as good as possible, because otherwise you may have some wear in the splines. Let's clean that, grease it up, put it back together. Don't forget the shield. Make sure this surface is clean, and this surface as well, otherwise you may have issues that your wheel is not correctly aligned. So then stick the bolts in, helps a little bit, and then they have no particular orientation, so just put them on, find the spline, and then just move it in slowly, get the bolt started. And you're there. It's really as simple as that. It's just knowing how, and sorry my decal is in the way, but that's how it is. About getting the job done. Not exactly for necessarily for the video, it's the job, which is the purpose here. We want to get that done before the rain, so just snug them up loosely, and then torque them. I need to check the torque spec, but it's an awful lot. I don't know the exact number right now. We'll find out in a minute. And again, make sure when you pull it that you don't pull the drive shaft, except you need to. But the problem is the inner seals in the pumpkin, the two seals, which seal basically the drive shaft from seeping oil. The problem is that mine are pretty bad, and they need replacing, but it's a lot of work. So if you don't pull the drive shaft, you're not making yourself worse. I think I told this quite a few times because I had issues with U-turns, but now I've got a better make. I just paid more money for it, because as always you get what you pay for. And once you've finished, grease that surface as well. Make sure your brake disc is spotlessly clean inside. A big washer. The nut. You got a bit of a recess here, but that's the inside. need to tighten it up. It's just for holding it right now. Okay, we need to find the torque spec here, and then we just tighten it up, and then we'll do the brake calipers, the rubbers of the brake calipers. We'll be back. Apparently the bolts here are 75 foot-pounds. Luckily my torque wrench does both. Sounds very low, but apparently that's what it is. 73. And the center one is 175. That's about what my torque wrench can do. Okay, this is 70. That's about 75. So. You can help with the knee a little bit, so I don't know if you can see it, but I just pump it with a knee. And sure they're all good. Okay. And it says 75 to 80, so I thought more doesn't harm. Look at that. Nice old biplane. You can't see it because of the sun. Looked like a Steaman or so. Had at least a radial engine on it. Alright. Okay, we got them done. So another one coming here. That's something old as well, but it's a, I don't know, maybe there is a show somewhere. Yeah. Once you've done the bolts, just smear the grease around so they don't rust. Make sure it's not too much, because otherwise you got it on the brakes. There's another one coming here. Here it is. Here it is. Look at that. He's coming again. He's coming again. Yeah. Here he is. Okay. Okay. Now we're gonna deal with the brake caliper here. What we need to do is actually pulling the pins. I don't know if it's visible. We need to pull because the rubbers are gone. So what you do is just push the pin through and you can take it out. And then you can wiggle the rubber out. These one and one. Do not use normal grease. Use this blue stuff from, that's special brake system grease, because it doesn't dissolve rubber. Yeah, you got a new one. Just put a little bit of grease on it. Again, do not use normal grease, and then just wedge it and try to figure it in. It's difficult sometimes. Just compress it. So, here we go. The pins need cleaning. If there's anything on it, clean them and then grease them up. Bit of grease, and then just fill it in. Can be bit difficult at times, but it's only until you throw the first one. There you go. And then throw the lips over it. It's much better. The ends of the rubber grommet is actually, they're actually snapping into the groove, so that's much better. Alright, let's do the other side. Boring. Just do it. And then we'll fit the caliper again, or brake disc and caliper. Okay, grommets are there. Store it away. Brake disc. Again, make sure the surface is clean. Put it on. Brake caliper. Okay, brake caliper is on. So we need to set our torque wrench to 175 and tighten the center nut. 5. Okay.
No?
Alright. Because I'm lucky, the groupie helping me stepping on the brake.
Can I?
Yes.
Okay.
Done. So first to just step on it. And then the torque wrench.
Ready?
No, hold on. Okay, 175 foot-pounds.
Done?
Job done. Thank you so much, my dear.
You are welcome.
Alright, so our brake caliper is not wobbling anymore, and because it was rattling actually, because the rubbers are so soft, and they've seen some grease, and apparently they don't like the copper grease. Okay, crown on. Make sure when you put the washer on, make sure the washer is actually, the hole is here. Make sure the lower side of the washer points to the nut, and then just find the right position. It looks about right to me. You may need to fiddle a little bit to find a good one here, but there will be one. Let's get a cotter pin and job done. So cotter pin fitted. Do not cut the ends, just bend them over like so, and because if you cut them it may come out, but this is solid, it's not going to move. All it does is stopping the nut from coming off eventually. Let's get loose. Alright, it's a design feature of the Jeep that the brake disc is actually not fixed to the hub. Let's put the wheel on, and we call it good. When you fit the wheels, always tighten it up a little bit, and then always use a torque wrench on aluminium wheels, because you don't want to lose a wheel. Okay, I think it's 140 Newton meters on the wheels. So let it down. And just use a torque wrench. Sorry, I don't know the foot-pounds for that, but I can tell you in a second. I'll dial that in. 140. So that's about 105 foot-pounds, but I always do 140. then do it in circles. Always leave one out and then you got them all. Alright, job done. Test drive later. Alright, that was the wheel hub and the grommets for the completely ripped out for the brake calipers. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Until next time. Hopefully it's any good with a new camera. We'll find out.